WikiLeaks editor Julian Assange has rejected claims from the newly elected Ecuadorian President Lenin Moreno that he's a hacker. Let's talk about this now. From London, our correspondent Polly Boyka. Hi, Polly. Wow, this is a change of turn, isn't it? A real turnabout. It's going to be an uncomfortable time ahead for Julian Assange then in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he's still holed up after all these years, I guess.
Yeah, quite an unexpected and also a two-pronged statement from the Ecuadorian president in relation to Julian Assange and the situation that the WikiLeaks editor finds himself in. Take a listen to what Lenin Moreno had to say about him.
Mr. Assange is a hacker. That's something we reject, and that I in particular personally reject.
So on the one hand, you've got the leader of Ecuador saying that he doesn't agree with what he's doing, but at the same time saying that that doesn't mean he's going to throw him out of here. Julian Assange has responded to Moreno's comments already from his personal Twitter account. And interestingly, he responded in Spanish. So he's obviously keen for the Latin American world, where perhaps these comments are going to be headline news, for them to see what his reaction is to those comments. Take a listen to what Julian Assange had to say.
To publish the evidence of corruption isn't the same thing as hacking. I'm a journalist and editor. Even the US doesn't call me a hacker.
Well, Julian Assange also wrote on his Twitter account that Moreno was rather more complimentary about his work as editor of WikiLeaks just a few days ago. Take a listen.
I have made a very respectful remark to Mr. Assange. His status doesn't allow him to talk about the politics of any country, let alone ours.
And interestingly, after that, Julian Assange was writing on the WikiLeaks Twitter account that if WikiLeaks were to get evidence of corruption in Ecuador, then it would have no qualms about publishing that. And then, lo and behold, the Ecuadorian president appears to have either changed his opinion of him or been rather more candid about what he thinks about Julian Assange personally. Now, the reason all of this is rather surprising is because during the Ecuadorian election campaign just this spring, Lenin Moreno was seen as rather supportive of the WikiLeaks editor, unlike his main rival, the rather more right-wing Guillermo Lasso, who ended up eventually losing out in that presidential election to Moreno. But Lasso was openly hostile to Julian Assange. He even floated the idea of evicting him from the embassy here in London. He said during his election campaign that the Ecuadorian embassy here in London isn't a hotel, and that if he were to be elected, then Julian Assange's status of political asylum would be reviewed. He wasn't elected in the end, and for the moment, despite being branded a hacker by the current Ecuadorian president, Julian Assange is free to stay here. In fact, Lenin Moreno has said that despite the fact that Sweden has dropped its investigation into Julian Assange, Moreno has said that it seems that the British government isn't going to grant safe passage, meaning that Julian Assange can continue living here in the Ecuadorian embassy, and Ecuador will respect his right to stay inside these four walls behind me.
Yeah, but nonetheless, the uncertainty for Assange continues, doesn't it? There's not much of a life behind those walls. OK, thanks very much for the update for now.